Welcome, everyone. Good to see some familiar faces, some folks returning for this amazing series. While we're just settling in and seeing that folks are still connecting, drop a word in the chat how you're feeling today, or perhaps how this series has been for you if you've been to multiple of these talks. And you might also share where you're joining from, the lands you're on. And you can share pronouns. You can change your Zoom name to reflect how you'd like to be called. Powerful, helpful. So grateful for these sessions. Joining from Tangva. First time, welcome. Happy to have you here. All right. Joining from London at midnight. Amazing. Thank you. Robin from the Berkshires. All right. Well, my name is Monique Schubert, and I'm happy to be hosting this conversation tonight. I'm joining you from the lovely borough of Brooklyn in New York, under the auspices of Kripalu. And I will go right into our introduction. I just wanted to give a shout out to Brad and Mallory and say, hey, they're joining us from Lancaster, PA on Susquehannock, Delaware land. And they have been, I think, at all these series. So good to see them. Excited, joining from the sovereign lands of the Sauk, Fox, Potawatomi, Miami, and Kickapoo peoples. Modern day Chicago, that's from Yoli. It's always so wonderful to see folks naming where they're at. Thank you, everyone. I want to go ahead and introduce the program because we do have some first timers and just really in a celebration of what these conversations have been about. So I'm so happy to open this final series in the Amplify Voices of the Global Majority series. And to say a little bit about the program, Kripalu has really joined forces with change makers from around the globe who work to dismantle inequity and harm, steward the planet, prioritize collective wellness, and cultivate interdependent liberation. Throughout history, voices of the global majority, Black, Indigenous, people of color, have been at the forefront of breaking down barriers of systemic issues that affect both the planet and humanity, and ushering in radical change, whether that has been bringing yoga to the West or fighting for justice on the front lines. Now is a time that requires us to listen, heal historical wounds, and do something different. We enter this work as an act of community care because none of us can be well until all of us are well. This is the last week of this incredible series, and all of these talks are available on the Kripalu website to watch the replays, and there'll be a link in the chat you can follow to find that. Our amazing lineup has included Adrienne Marie Brown and Mia Herndon, Milana Snow and Lauren Ash, Hawa Kassat and Abdul Muhammad, Seher Sikandar and Anaife Isis Adewale, and Rauda Rahman and Mia Park. And tonight, of course, Yoli Maya Ye and Aja Soleil Shah. So to tell you a little bit about our presenters, Yoli Maya Ye is a yoga and shiatsu therapist and an educator in comparative religion and global studies with a master's in comparative religious ethics. Yoli works at the intersection of Indigenous preservation, healing arts, and social justice through the design and implementation of experiential education-based decolonization, dialogue, collaboration, and community implementation toolkits. Raised in her family's Native American spiritual traditions, Yoli spent 12 years of her young adulthood studying language, yoga, tantra, healing arts, and meditation in India. A native of Chicago, she blends her understandings of Indigenous wisdom teachings, mind-body science, yogic discipline, and play into innovative learning programs for all ages and abilities. And in conversation with Yoli this evening is Soleil Aja Shah, a professional musician, rapper, and spiritual guide. Soleil began her professional career as a hardcore hip hop artist by attracting attention in the summer of 1999 with her appearance on JT Money's hit single, Who Dat? This was followed by the release of her debut album, Skin Deep, on DreamWorks Records in September of 1999, which achieved gold status and garnered her a nomination for Rap Artist of the Year at the Billboard Music Awards. She also went on to win several ASCAP Music Awards that same year. Since her early music career, Soleil has become the temple goddess of the Goddess Temple of Love, creatrix of Devi Tribe Wellness, and a trusted, loving, and highly skilled priestess and guide for many women. Soleil is dedicated to raising the vibration of love on the planet through awakening the goddess within every woman for the benefit of all beings. And so it is my pleasure and a deep honor to open the conversation with our presenters this evening. And I want to take one pause to bring Abigail's voice in, just to make sure we've got all our housekeeping ducks in a row.
Hi, everybody. My name is Abigail, and I'm here as your tech support. So I'm going to put our email here at Kripalu, online at Kripalu, or online support at kripalu.org if you need to reach out and have any questions, or you can direct message me on the chat. And have a wonderful time, and I'll be here in the background if anyone needs support.
Thank you for that. And with that, I will pass it over to our presenters. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the beautiful introduction and for welcoming us here into this space. Thank you, Yoli, for inviting me to sit in the seat of teacher with you. I'm so grateful for you and your teachings and what you offer to the world. So I want to give thanks to you first. And our offering today will be more experiential than cerebral. So we'll have a little bit of cerebral sharing, but primarily we'll be sharing some experiential practices of going into the body and feeling into the body's wisdom, which is much more intelligent than our prefrontal cortex, this thinking mind. And but I do want to just honor each of you here and feel into this beautiful once-in-a-lifetime configuration of crystalline water beings that we are coming together in this beautiful chalice, this container at this moment in time to never again be repeated in this way. And so I'm going to offer you a beautiful water body meditation for clearing the bloodline or the waters of the body. And before we dive literally into that, I want to honor the ancestors, which is traditional within our African and Indian cultures, which my bloodlines go back to West and East Africa, as well as South India and other parts of the world. But I'll do so tonight by honoring the ancestors in the African tradition of the pouring of libations to honor them and invoking their power and asking them to be present here with us to bless this gathering that we'll share together tonight. So I'm going to use water as the medium to carry our prayers and our intentions, as water is sacred and it's conscious and it has memory and it's an intelligent and reacting and responding to the intention with which we approach it. And it is the ultimate carrier of information and consciousness. It's primordial and life emerges from her. So I'm going to, before I put the water, I'm going to be pouring the water into this plant here. I'll show you her because you won't be able to see her when I begin pouring, because I can't hold her and pour, but I want to see her. And we're going to be pouring into this plant representing Mother Earth, Bhudevi, the fertile womb of all life, and pouring back into our bodies as earth. And requesting the wisdom and blessings of the ancestors. And as I call on the ancestors, specifically our African ancestors, I will pour and then I will say Ashe. And Ashe adds power to what we're evoking, and it's similar to saying, so be it. And so after I say Ashe, if it feels resonant to you, the invitation is for you to repeat Ashe. And you can keep yourselves muted, but you can repeat Ashe. So if you would, join me as we welcome the ancestors through libations. And so we begin by pouring libations to our first ancestors, to the first humans on this planet, to the mothers and fathers of all mankind, to the flashpoint of the human family and the mothers and fathers of civilization. To those ancestors, we pour libation. Ashe. And you repeat Ashe. To our African ancestors that found themselves the victims of a forced exodus, where they were kidnapped, shackled, and cargoed, and shipped out of what we know as Africa and enslaved in the diasporas around the world. To our South Indian ancestors who were beguiled and brought in indentured servitude, all stripped of their language, their religion, their culture, their spiritual sciences, and even human dignity. To those ancestors, we pour libation. Ashe. To our ancestors who chose the sea, who chose death over torture and enslavement, surrendering themselves and their children to the sea, into the arms of Yem or Yah, back to the ocean, the mother of the world, and those who were forced into the sea, not of their own free will. To those ancestors, we pour libation. Ashe. We pour libation to the ancestors whose wombs poured blood from the indignity of barbaric rape and torture at the hands of their captors, and the mothers whose milk flowed to nourish the children of their slave masters at the expense of their very own children who suffered and languished. To those ancestors, we pour libation. Ashe. And to the many gurus, the teachers, all of the magical dancers, the storytellers, the priestess and priest of old of all the sacred arts, who are the keepers and the preservers of the lineages, and to our own benevolent ancestors and our own direct bloodlines, whose blessings and power we would like to invoke and call forth to be present with us tonight. To them we pour libation. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe-wa. And if it feels resonant to you, I would offer that if you're in a space that you're able to close your eyes, then that is the invitation to close your eyes and soften into the seat of support, whatever it is that is holding you, allowing it to be a support to you. Calling yourself present right here, right now, is no other place to be, nowhere else to go. It's present fully here in this moment, right now. Allowing everything you brought into this space with you that is not of you, not of your essence, to float to the periphery of your being just for a moment, knowing that it will be there for you to pick it up when we complete. But these present moments are all we really have, so taking this time to really be filled, to really be nourished, to really be held. Softening and warming, becoming aware of your connection to the earth. Physical connection, feeling into whatever it is that you're seated on or lying on. actually feeling the connection, not just imagining it, but feeling the bone and muscle of your body being held and supported by whatever it is you're on as a representation of Mother Earth herself. Feeling this connection. Bones and water being you are. Om Shrim Hrim Klim Glam Ganganapate Namah. Becoming aware of the waters in your body. How we treat the water is how everything becomes. Om Shrim Hrim Klim Glam Ganganapate Namah. Becoming aware of the saliva in your mouth. Moving your tongue around your mouth, filling into the waters of the mouth. Swallowing, feeling deep gratitude for these waters of the body that we often don't pay much attention to or take for granted. Filling into the waters of the mouth. Feeling and becoming aware of this craniosacral fluid of the body. The cerebral spinal fluid filling and surrounding the brain and the spinal cord. Filling into the waters of your reproductive organs. Physically or energetically, whether you still have them physically or not. Waters of womb and ovaries, or testes, the yoni, the sacred feminine nectar, ambrosia, the waters that flow from the reproductive processes. Blood coursing, spiraling through your veins, beating heart producing, spiraling, vortexing streams of blood flow, creating a powerful electromagnetic field emanating out in every direction, flowing, swirling, pumping life. This frequency of heart sounds regulating your biology. Filling into the waters, atoms, the molecules, 99% water on a molecular level. Your DNA being held together partially by hydrogen bonds. Filling into the fluidity of your body, the passion that flows in waves and spirals through your being, the movement of your body, feeling this deepening connection to the waters of your entire body, your entire being, this unique expression, your purpose, your understanding of self, your flowing, feeling, being, yielding, crashing, becoming like the water you already are. And feeling all of the waters of the body spiraling, flowing, and bringing life, creating. If it feels resonant, you can even begin to move your body in spirals or gentle waves of undulations. Or you can sit in the energetic flow of the waters. Feeling into the miracle of the sacred water body temple that you are. This once in a lifetime configuration of water molecules that you are. This crystalline structured water being that you are. This raindrop of magnificence that you are. Softening into that. Spiraling into that, melting into that, this liquid moving ocean of wonder and magic that you are, breathing into that. And as you continue to sit in this watery place of knowing of the body, eyes still closed if they are. We'll chant together Kleem, K-L-I-M. This bija seed mantra, Kleem. And we'll chant 3 times in this context in the reference of being connected to the water element. And we'll chant Kleem, bringing the sound from our throat all the way down to the root, or to Svadhisthana chakra at the sacrum. And we'll together take a deep inhale through our nose and exhale, Being sure to hold the M, letting the vibration come all the way down from throat to sacred sacrum or root. Deep inhale and then exhaling, time together. Deep inhale through the nose and exhaling Just allowing your breath to be spontaneous, this Sahaj pranayam, the spontaneous breath, just allowing the breath to breathe the body as you sit. It's just the sounds of the waters of your body. Allowing the breath. Allowing, receptive and surrendered. And then together, collectively, taking a deep inhale through your nose, allowing your abdomen to expand out like a balloon. And then exhaling with sound. Whatever sound may want to arise, however soft and gentle or loud it may be. Deep inhale through your nose, big belly breath. Exhaling with sound. And one more deep inhale through your nose. And a big exhale. And bringing your hands to prayer at your heart center. And bowing your head in reverence for the waters of your body. Microcosm of the macrocosm of the waters of this earth. Vanakkam. I'll turn over to my beautiful sister Yoli to take us on another journey through Nidra practice.
Thank you. What an incredible start to the evening. I could have stayed there forever. So welcome to all of you to this space that have chosen to spend part of your evening with us, or perhaps enjoy this as a recording down the line. It's also very exciting to be the caboose, to be the friends that get to wrap up an amazing series. And I think it's really exciting that some of you have been here for the whole thing, and some of you are here. This is your first time joining in this series. There's something very rich that happens when you give BIPOC folks a platform to speak and share. And I'm very thankful that we get to bring you into our world this evening. And we wanted to make sure that largely what we did would be to practice together and to get to experience the transformative nature of global yogic practice, yoga that has its roots in many wisdom traditions, many cultural traditions, and honoring yoga's roots in its South Asian tradition as well. And so we're going to talk at you after we invite you into rest practice, which for us is like the best thing ever, favorite way to do things, because real talk, this mind, it's tired. Like, it is deadly tired. And our ancestors are speaking to us all the time. And there's like a whole crew of beings and protectors and guides and teachers and gurus and ancestors of past, present, and future. They're always trying to help us out too. They are benevolent. They are there in our favor. But most of the time we're too busy up here and we're just too tired to be able to tune in. So what if there was a way, a playful way, a fun way that we could tap into this abundance? Sometimes I just think of it as like our plurality. You know, I feel this way sometimes. Oh, I feel so alone. You know, then I'm reminded, we're not alone, actually. We're always hanging out with a posse, with a retinue. And we had such a beautiful ritual at the start, right? Honoring the ancestors. And I know that that's something new for some of you, to take your practice and bring in the dimension of ancestors. Well, it can be challenging and problematic for many reasons. For example, what if we don't know our bloodline ancestors, right? What if our relationship with our ancestors is something fractious or unpleasant? What if we have bloodline ancestors that were genocidal maniacs, right? That, like, why would I want to bring these people into my field? And like, how is it that this person is in my benevolence, is working for my favor, right? So we don't have enough time to totally deep dive into how this works. So I'm just going to offer up some guidelines as we make our way towards the invitation to come into restful practice in the form of Yoga Nidra. So here's some quick and dirty guidelines on inviting in the ancestors. If you feel like there are individuals in your ancestor field that you don't want to invite, just skip over them. No problem. like that. It's yours to design. That's no problem at all. If your ancestors are known to you and known by name, that's beautiful. I know I have ancestors in my immediate field. We do not know where they are from. We do not know their names. We do not know where the bones of those ancestors rest. That can also be a challenging space when we're invited into to commune in the ancestor field. And so what I want to invite you into is to receive anything that we guide in the meditation. It's an invitation. You can receive whatever feels good and nourishing and whole and complete for you, and you can leave the rest. And especially since this is a hopefully laying down, reclined, restful meditation practice, you may just fall asleep, and you may think, oh no, if I fall asleep, I'm doing it wrong. I'm not going to. You're doing it perfectly right. No problem. There's no wrong way to do this practice like this. I also want to invite you into a conceptualization that ancestors and the ancestor field isn't limited by time. So let's invite ancestors of past, of present, and of future into the space. And in that way, this amazing technology called Yoga Nidra, deep sleep meditation, sacred dream meditation, my favorite one, blanket yoga. A bunch of kids called it that. They're like, can we do that blanket yoga? Put all the blankets out and lay down. You mean the best kind of yoga there is? Yeah. So we're all tired. We may get in a reclined position and we're out. Now, one of the cool things about Zoom is that I can't hear you snore. No problem. Sometimes when we're in group together, and you're going to snore, so you try to keep yourself a little bit alert, and it's really hard. Best part, we're on Zoom. You can just snore away. Nobody's going to hear you. I'll try not to snore. Just kidding. I'm going to keep my eyes open. I'm going to be awake. So I'll be leading this meditation. But really, it's like co-leading with all of you. Let's see. Was there anything else I wanted to say about ancestors in particular? Not so much. If you have some like quick questions and curiosities before we dive into the nidra, something that might be a hindrance to your relaxation, feel free to pop that into the chat, and I'll kind of get at that as we're getting ourselves settled. But in all honesty, this is something that you actually know how to do already. You know how to commune with your ancestors, whether you know it or not. So sometimes I think that when we go into Yoga Nidra space, when we go into the sacred dream time, we're just remembering, right? I call it sacred remembering, because you know how to do this. You know how to do a lot of things, actually, but maybe the busyness of life might have us thinking that we don't know how to do things. But I'm here to just help remind you that actually you know most of what you need to know already. It's all housed in the technology of this body. A quick and dirty about Yoga Nidra. I was introduced to Yoga Nidra in not its Yoga Nidra form, but in the form of how we do sacred dream practices in an Indigenous context. And so when I went off to India and I did those yogic studies and I got exposed to these practices, what I discovered was I already knew how to do this. Let's lay down, let's be comfortable, and don't shortchange the comfort level, right? I want you to be really comfortable. I sent you a little love letter that hopefully got to you beforehand that was no, I mean really cozy, all the blankets and all the, and you know what you could do? You could grab your laptop, you can go in your bedroom, and you can just lay in the bed. This is the best thing. This is the meditation where you're strongly encouraged to get in the bed. Okay. And so in our Indigenous context, well, we use the dream time for communication, for communion, for problem solving, for learning and study. We have many forms of sacred dream practice as well. We have the forms where there's going to be, I call it an intermediary, someone helping us along the way. Sometimes we call that person a shaman, like this, or medicine person, medicine man, medicine woman, healer, grandmother, whatever it may be, right? But that's like a person whose job it is to get us where we're going and to get us back. And often in those kind of sacred dream rituals, we're using instrumentation, we're using the power of the drum. We heard the beauty of the Shruti box. Like, did you start to hear like other things within the sound of the Shruti box? Because the thing about instrumentation is it also calls in the spirit realm, and the spirits love it, right? And so they'll start to sing and dance and do their own vocalization and harmonization within the things. So we utilize these tools in order to use this vessel, this body as the vessel. What kind of vessel? A time machine and a space shuttle. Also an interdimensional vehicle, right? So when we go into the sacred dream time, we're not limited by time. We're not even limited by space. We're not limited by a singular universe. And if we can quiet down this busy mind, we can also not be limited by the logic, analytical thought processes of the cognitive thinking mind, right? So for some of you, I may be inviting you into your first ever experience of Yoga Nidra. If that is the case, that is a pure delight that this evening we can do a very creative practice together, something that will be spontaneous. The first time it will ever be offered and the last time it will ever be offered in the way that we will do it this evening. Some of you are probably pros at Yoga Nidra as well. Some of you are probably facilitators of Yoga Nidra. And so there are many styles, many sources on Yoga Nidra. If you've come from a source that has a very firm and distinct structure to it, you may find this Yoga Nidra to be a little watery, a little wavy, a little twisty, windy. That's okay. But what I can assure you is those components that make Yoga Nidra will be present. So this is in a very creative style, but it is still the technology of Ma Yoga Nidra herself. So if you have any questions about the practice of Yoga Nidra, feel free to pop those into the chat as well. My next invitation is going to be for you to adopt a comfortable position, preferably reclined. It doesn't have to be on your back. I didn't make my own Nidra nest today to model for you, because instead I'm going to set up a bunch of instruments myself here while you get yourself settled. Here's the thing. If you lay down and you're like, no, I'm going to be really Spartan about my Nidra. It's just going to be a yoga mat, and nothing else. Oh my goodness. May I invite you into a framework that I like to call self-worship, right? Aja brought us into this temple of the body. Well, if it's a temple, then let's honor it. Feel free to put blankets underneath and your vegan furs and your furry furs and your pillows, and are there joint spaces, elbows, knees, ankles, feet? It's the end of the day. Feel free to get those legs elevated. Lots of things need to be under the knees, especially, or else your back will scream at about minute 10, if not before that. So keep in mind, you want to have a lot of something under the knees. I like to use these round kind of bolstery pillows. And consider your hands, right? You don't have to be arms out to the sides. I often have my hands resting on my belly because that opens up my chest more while I'm laying on my back. Guess what else? You could be laying on your side. You could be laying on your stomach. You could be sat up in a chair, but like something comfy where you can be a little bit reclined. I want you to feel like you're on a cloud. It should feel effortless, or like a silicone bed. It's conforming exactly to your body. So you guys are getting yourself settled. I'm getting a few instruments out here. And one little question that popped into the chat, I said, Ma Yoga Nidra. Well, that's literally her name. Her name is Yoga Nidra. Her reference is the Devi Mahatmyam, the text from about 200 Common Era in the age of the era of the Puranas. And Ma Yoga Nidra is Devi herself. And that is her very sacred form as the mother of sleep. And the thing about sleep is you can try to resist her, but it's not possible. And so there's all sorts of fun storytelling, you know, Vishnu's belly button and earwax and demon's earwax, and there's stories from Mahabharata and Ramayana and all sorts of fun anecdotes that take us into the world of Ma. And so Yoga Nidra has an origin. It's Ma's technology. It's Devi's technology. And what we follow is the design, the sacred design of this body in terms of its multidimensionality, like the Panchakosha model, the 5 sheaths, layers, really their dimensions. And we also have the Panchatattwas, or the 5 elements. And so the 5 elements are the building blocks of this body. The 5 elements are also the building blocks of all of creation and the whole universe. So Yoga Nidra is the opportunity for us to use this body technology. Let's say this is the hardware, and we're going to utilize Ma's software in the form of Yoga Nidra. And we're going to rekindle our knowing. We're going to go into the space of remembrance that this body is part of the earthly landscape. We are not separate from the earth herself. Not this. And the earth is not separate from the universe itself. We are all one in the same. And there are such fabulous uniquenesses to this body. And so it almost doesn't matter what we do when we go into this space. You can't get this practice wrong. So whatever you do, let yourself off the hook and ask yourself in this moment, could you get even more comfortable than you are now? I mean, could you really embrace this idea of self-worship in this moment and really get cozy? Some of you have learned Yoga Nidra practices that tell you you can't fall asleep. I today am letting you know you may fall asleep. You have all the permission to fall asleep, no problem. Okay. This practice is going to be something around 20 minutes or so. We'll have a period where we come out of the practice. We want to take our time doing that. You may find yourself dipping in, dipping out. You're not missing anything. There's no FOMO here. Your subconscious mind is taking in the whole thing. This is a deep healing practice. This is a healing technology. And this healing technology, just like the magic of this body, it works on a quantum level. So let's see where we go today. Let's see. I want to introduce you to a few sounds that you're going to hear. You can kind of hear there's a little bit of droney sound in the background. I've got a few singing bowls. I've got some other little jingle jangly sounds, and there's also the possibility of this ting sha. And so just in case there's any little adjusting you'd like to do with your own computer sound, sometimes the sounds come in a bit sharp. Thanks for taking me up on this invitation. This invitation to rest in the lap of the mother. And this nidra is going to be a ritual of its own. We've really invited you all into deep ritual this evening. And this will be Yoga Nidra, ritual as Yoga Nidra. My invitation to you is to be as comfy and cozy as you can. To just find your breath. As you're finding your breath, we can feel the outside environment comes inside by way of the two nostrils. And with each outgoing breath, the internal environment of the body moves back outside. Each breath is exchange of environment, moving in and moving out. From outer to inner, from inner back to outer. Sometimes we make little sounds as we relax. Delicious sounds of makara, delicious sounds of ahs and oohs and delightful vowels. Oh, it could be that it's just a series of yawns, and that's fine too. Giving the body permission to be here, to be in this relaxation. Sometimes that vibrational chanting that emerges with the breath, sometimes it's barely audible, something very low in tone, vibrating deeply in the body, deep in the pelvic bowl. Allow your own natural surrendering process to emerge. We take a moment to turn these sense organs inward. Perhaps there's sounds that surround you. Sound of my voice. And these little instruments playing in the background. Sounds that you can identify and sounds that are unknown to you. Both are welcome. Sounds that we can control and sounds that we cannot control as they dance upon the outsides of the ears and gently spiral into the eardrums, the inside of the body. Even the sense of taste begins to turn inwards. Ooh, the taste of the beginning of relaxation. It gets pretty juicy. By now, you may feel the delight of the eyes closing, sight turning inwards. And then is touch. Perhaps we can feel the warmth of blankets on top, the coolness of the air, slight flow of wind around, atmosphere on the skin. We invite this sense of touch to slowly turn inward, touching inside the body. We take a little circumambulation of this body in the form of directions, a medicine wheel, a mandala, in fact. This body, this temple, this sacred being, and the sacred design. We enter the sacred landscape through the eastern gate at the tips of the left fingers. There's a thumb, an index, a middle ring, a pinky finger, and palm and back of the left hand. We move to the southern gate of the body, a circumambulation, a spiral dance. The bottom of the left foot, the tips of the left toes, pinky, second, third, all the way to the big toe. Top and bottom of left foot, right foot, big toe, second, third, fourth, littlest of toes. Top and bottom of the right foot here, the southern gate. Taking our spiral dance to the western gate of the body at the tips of the right fingers. Thumb, index, middle ring, and pinky fingers. Front and back of hand, whole right hand. Western gate of the body. To the crown. Crown of the head. The northern gate of the body. These four gates, these 4 points of entry into this sacred landscape. What if we continued this little spiral dance? Left wrist, left ankle, right wrist. Level of the eyebrows, right, center, left. Left elbow, left knee, right elbow. The nostrils, left, right, both nostrils at the same time. Left shoulder, left hip, right shoulder, level of the throat. Right side of throat, center, left side of throat. Down to the left side of the pelvic bowl. Base of pelvic bowl, right side of pelvic bowl. The rib cage on the right and the spaces in between. The rib cage on the left and the spaces in between. The top of the pelvic bowl at the navel. The heart. A spiral dance in to the heart center. From this heart center, we can explore. There are so many spaces in this body that are filled with spiral the head, feel from even superficial to deep, the cheeks left and right, left, mouth, teeth,
Just continuing to feel the journey into the body. Feeling the journey into the spaces between the spaces. Filling all of the spaces between the spaces. Feeling what it feels like to be in infinite space. The space between the space. Feeling prana circulating through all of these infinite spaces in the body. Feeling into the energy of Bhuvaneshwari. The space between the space. Filling each point of the body that'll be described like a star. Feeling a star in your right palm. A star at the top of your right foot. A star at the top of the left foot. Star in the left palm, and a star at the crown of the head. Feeling yourself as a star anchored into your space. Anchoring the body down. Like a conduit between heaven and earth. Feeling the body anchored down. You, a conduit between heaven and earth. Feeling yourself rooted, terrestrial, yet celestial. Dirt and stardust. Dirt and stardust.
Settling into this inner scape, this inner landscape of the body. We take ourselves deep into the pelvic bowl. It's an invitation. If it doesn't delight you, feel free to just allow your mind to settle anywhere in the body that feels like the right place. We're just playing a little game of listening and remembering. And here in this space where the knowledge of our ancestors is held in the form of our reproductive cells, our ancestry of past, present, and future, all residing in this very special place. What would it be to just invite yourself into a communion? Communion with the ancestors, a communion with the knowledge that lives within. Let your own imagination be the architect of where you go and what it looks like. We're simply just making the open invitation to commune with the ancestors, past, present, and future, and to just simply listen. And it is within the ancestors' capacity to share with us, to heal with us, to rest together. Allow yourself this moment of communion. And however you are interacting with the ancestor field in this moment. Whether it's the ancestors of the stars, as we really and truly are made of stardust. If it's the ancestors of stone and water, the ancestors of mountains, the ancestors who stood tall, 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 the ancestors who lived underwater, the ancestors who flew in the sky, the ancestors who powered their cities with crystals, to the ancestors known to the ancestors who appeared to us in animal form, in human and animal form, in forms we do not understand, in flashes of light, in soundscapes. There's no wrong answers here, just a little interplay. And perhaps little whispers, little things to remember. Allow yourself to come back into the room, to come back into this body fully, to come back into a little in-between space. Maybe there's little memories you want to hang on to, little tastes left over, little whispers in the ears. Allow yourself to come back, to be drawn back by the sounds that surround, by the smells, pleasant and unpleasant, by the feelings, movements of fingers, toes, and just the knowledge that this place that you went today, wherever it was, is a place where you can return to at any time. It's yours. It's your endowment as the fantastical human being that you are. It lives within you. You don't even need anybody else to help you get there. You already know. So as we draw this meditative experience to a close, the spontaneous restfulness, when we call in the ancestors, we don't know fully what's going to happen, and we had an adventure for sure. I thank you for listening. I thank you for being, and I thank all of your ancestors that you exist. Oh. This meditation is officially complete. Here's the best part. If you're in like the most delicious place right now and you don't feel like moving, you don't have to. Your ears work perfectly fine in a reclined position. So feel free to just hang out. And we have a few minutes to share some thoughts and ideas with you all. I'm so thankful for the magic of the theater and the well-trained friends, you know, who you just pick it up. You know? Yeah, just in case you were wondering what happened, yeah, my internet cut out. Never had that happen before, but I'm so thankful that Aja was here.
It happened to me last night when I was teaching my class, so I don't know what's happening in the energetic field, but I completely lost and had someone pick up for me last night.
Pick up. That's what you do, you know, like just, I came back, everybody was still laying down. I was like, perfect, you know. But no, legit, when you call in the ancestors, when you start like bringing it all in, the silliest things can happen. And I think it's a lot about our ancestors reminding us, like, why do you take all of this so seriously? You
The cosmic joke.
know, just be alert, you know, cultivate awareness. And other than that, you know, oh, y'all want us to pour libation and call in the sacred waters? Well, can you swim this way? Can you move over here? Right? Like when you just let yourself be in the waves and all of a sudden you're just having a magical experience. And then you're suddenly transported to the womb. You're like, whoa. Actually, this is where I always want to be anyway. Okay. You know, and the next thing you know, you're like at your own house and filling up the bathtub and you're trying to like recreate the same thing, you know? So, oh, that's part of the fun, is to just be like, exactly what happens is the medicine of the moment, you know? So if there was any fun things that came up from your Nidra experience, and yes, Padmini, excellent feedback. You didn't even notice. So if there was any fun things, you know, that came up from your Nidra experience, or especially if you went to the ancestor fields and like, did you come back with something? Because, you know, they gift all the time. Like, it's so much fun. Pop it into the chat. Let us know like what fun things were happening for you. It's all celebration. And also FOMO, no. Okay? There's no fear of missing out. If you went into that Nidra and you're like, I don't know what happened because I went, woo, out of here. That's perfect too. It's the best thing about Yoga Nidra. So There are so many practices in this world, right? Asana, pranayama, mudra, bandha, all the meditations, all the mantras, all of this, all of that. Sometimes we need to just keep it a little bit simple, right? And there really is nothing more simple than laying down and having some sacred dream time. This is a practice of the moment. It is deeply rooted in tantric principles, the harmonizing of inner and outer nature, the cultivation of being here in this creation, in all of the imperfections, finding the sense of perfection within that. So for me, they're really, other than training in martial arts, this is my main practice right now. I jokingly say that there's some other practices too, but like this, I think this is such an important practice and teaching of the moment. Sound, the returning to the simplicity, the building blocks of life, the dirt, the soil, the stardust, the waters. We really have, as human beings, we really only have two main hangups. And you're like, no, I got a lot of hangups. No. Legit. We really only have two main hangups. One is our deep, deep fear of death. And the other is we think we're separate from nature. It really doesn't help that we've grown a civilizational model that encourages separation from nature, right? We're not good stewards at the moment. We have room for improvement, like massively. But that sense that we're separate from nature is false. And we need yogic practice in its decolonized form in order to help us reconnect. I believe yoga, tantric yoga, are some of the most important teachings that we have right now for the crises of the moment. And it really also doesn't help that we're where we are in a global pandemic. And what I mean by that is time-wise, because it's not the cycle is not complete as yet. But wherever we are in that cycle, that the cycle has been a very severe imposition of separation. We're social beings. We are meant to learn and be in space together. We're meant to heal together. We're meant to grieve together. We're meant to learn together. And together includes Okantang, all our relations. Every blade of grass and every bird, every insect and creepy crawly, the cloud beings, the rainbow people, like all of it. We are meant to be in communion. And so again, this practice, these practices that we've shared with you this evening in the form of ritual, sound, the language of nature. When we say yoga, we mean global yoga. We mean that, yes, when we study the practices of yoga that have emerged from the South Asian continent, we want to name that. We want to honor those origins. And myself, and I'll speak for Aja as well, we as multicultural, multilingual, like people of multiplicities, we also know that all our ancestors have these practices. And what we really wanted to share with you this evening was what it could look like to bring ritual and practice, to bring this global outlook and the honoring of the roots of yoga into a practice experience together. Now, if it didn't resonate for you, the best part is you just leave it off. You had maybe a nice snooze and that was it. We're good to go. And so in that way, yes, you may, thank you, Isabella. You may find that the ancestors have a lot to say. In fact, if ancestor communion and ancestor ritual is something new for you, they might like harangue you because you got a backlog. They're like, finally, she's tapping in. We have so much to tell her. Our ancestors are here for our healing. Our ancestors are also here for our personal and collective liberation. So when we go all the way down to that cellular level and we're healing, you know, that framework of epigenetics, when we're going all the way to the smallest interscape, or when we go to the biggest macro of the space and the stars and the planets and everything in between, we are healing the whole bloodline. Last thing I'll say is, you know, my sister Aja took us right from the start into the truth of things. We think we're something very solid, you know. I guess if I go and try to walk through that wall over there, I might feel the solidity of my body as well as the solidity of that wall. But what if I could also understand my body as water, as fire, as air, as ether, as space itself? And in that design and communion, I discovered that in fact, this very solidly appearing thing really is something much more like a liquid crystal matrix. We are conductive fluid and electric impulse vibes, you know? And so we're just planting a little seed of remembrance this evening of who you actually are. You are the mountains and the stars and the rivers. And you are also the relations with the beavers and the crows and the like the creepy crawly things under the stones, you know, and the clouds and all the things nameable and unnameable in this universe. So I'm going to pause here. And if there are any questions and things that we could entertain, I think our friend Monique is going to come back into the space with us. And we've got a few minutes to entertain any more questions or curiosities or comments that you might have, be in the chat or elsewhere. Or if you have any questions about the practices that we did this evening and you want to make any clarifications, we would be happy to speak to any of that in this moment.
Or if everyone is just still sleep resting in the magic of the ancestors, these practices are so, these subtle practices are so necessary. The inner practices we're so used to in the West, seeing the outer displays of yoga, but in order for us to really change the trajectory of where we're going as a human species, we really do need to become more subtle. We have so many distractions, so many things pulling us outside of ourselves, and all of these different distractions, you know, that we're become so disconnected from our inner wisdom. And so for us to really change that, and to be penetrated at a soul level, our bodies do have to become more subtle. And so for the body to become more subtle, we do have to do some reprogramming at the cellular level, at our DNA. So the practice that Yoli offered, the nidra and all the inner practices are so powerful. The inner Shakti practices, the tantric practices on with mantra, tantra being a mantra marga, the path of mantras and sound, being able to alter our DNA is so powerful, and we really have to become more subtle so that we can be penetrated and literally change at a cellular level, literally change the bloodlines through changing our DNA, and we can alter our DNA with these subtle practices. And Yoli, someone asked, where can you find more yoga nidras to connect with the ancestors?
Yes. So I have a few recorded nidras up on the Yoga Nidra Network site. I'll even just pop that Yoga Nidra Network. And I I was thinking to do a little online course, like maybe in the summer, even like early summer, because this call in for communing with the ancestors and, sharing, helping to liberate some of our obstacles to accessing the ancestor field. It's really pertinent for right now, for our collective liberation, like full stop. We can't do this alone. And since it doesn't seem like the folks that are really committed to creating all the nonsense want to stop doing what they're doing, they're really genuine to their archetypes. We need all the help we can get, right? And so, when we call in the ancestors into the work, we multiply, right? Also, when we call in the ancestors, like even all of us together on Zoom tonight, and even like when you watch this as a recording, all our ancestors are going to be partying together. Like they love it, And so part of this is also about freeing our limited framework of thinking in the material world here. The fact that like you have a space shuttle and a time machine built in. You have Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like you can go down. And the earlier movie, it was called Interscape. It's some 80s business, y'all, right? Maybe early 90s, right? And the machine went inside, and he's like in the intestines and doing the thing, and whoa! And so like it's all actually built in already. And so we need little nudges and encouraging environments. So I'm thinking of that. So, you find us on the socials. Aja also holds space all the time, like in her temple and the things that she's doing. So find us on the socials. I try to like put links on links everywhere, offering like nidras wherever I can. But other than that, I don't know too many other practitioners that go using yoga nidra, go deeply into the ancestor work. So, but if I find some, I'll share them too, because I love sharing the wealth. Yeah. So please, check us out, and more to come.
So if there are no questions or shares, we can move into closing ritual unless Monique wants to share before we officially close out.
I would just love to say thank you. That was a really beautiful presentation. And I think if folks didn't have a lot of questions, they were probably just in that nonverbal state and want to stay there. So thank you so much for a beautiful offering. And I give it to you now for the closing.
Okay, so the invitation for this final brief closing ritual is another water body prayer. And we'll do this by placing one hand on your heart and one hand on either the womb space if you are a carrier of the womb, or on the hara or dantian or khanda, whichever word resonates with you, for the space between the pubic bone and navel, this center of pranamaya kosha. And also the invitation to once again close your eyes if it feels resonant to you. And we'll begin by speaking to the waters of our bodies. And I'll speak the words and you can just receive them. Speaking directly to the waters of our bodies. May the waters of your body be pure and holy, flowing gracefully with divine intelligence. May the waters of your body be purified to a crystalline vibrancy, encoded with the light of the truest eternal essence. May love and gratitude infuse the waters of your body, making beautiful patterns of ecstasy within the rivers of your being. May your waters flow unobstructed. May the most powerful vibrations of divine love and holy light fill and illuminate your cells, filling you with the most vibrant radiance. May heaven and earth make love in your cells. And may your entire bloodline, the waters of your lineage, be purified, cleansed, and healed on a cellular level, imbued with the highest vibration of love for the healing of the planet, for the awakening of consciousness and the realization of the oneness of being, the interconnectedness of all, the healing of this dis-ease of disconnection, the purification of the waters of the earth. May they be undammed and flowing freely as the macrocosm of the microcosm of the waters within your sacred holy water body temple. May the power of a tidal wave crash down on the injustices of the world. May a new way of being be ushered in through the healing rains and overflowing springs of unity consciousness. And may we all have the ability to see all beings, all things, as made of the same waters of love as ourselves. Through the greatest teachings of the water, which is unconditional love, washing all and refreshing all and sustaining life for all. With your hands still one on the heart and one on hara or womb space. Keeping your hands here, slowly, if your eyes are closed, opening your eyes, bringing your awareness back into the space. And then bringing your hands together in Pushpaputa, symbolically offering the prayers as if they were beautiful flowers in deep gratitude as blessings to the waters and the earth. And then bringing your hands to prayer and Anjali at the heart of the third eye, just giving thanks for this gathering, for the ancestors that showed up in joy and humor. And to each of you here, bowing in deep reverence, seeing the divine in each of you and honoring the divine in each of you. Vanakam. Vanakam is like saying namaskaram or namaste, but in Tamil, my blood lineage goes back to Tamil Nadu and to Sri Lanka. So Vanakam to each of you, and to you at Kripalu, and to you, Yoli, for your beautiful, beautiful, beautiful and powerful work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yoli and Soleil. This was truly a special, wonderful, beautiful evening. And thank you everyone for joining us. This is our final session in the Amplify series, and we are so grateful for everyone who has supported this series, to our donors, to all of our presenters. All of these sessions are available on the website for free. Please go watch them and share them. There is a link in the chat. Lots of them are so rich and layered. You have to come back to them time and time again to really get the full flavor of it. So It's been wonderful to be a part of these conversations with you. Take good care of yourselves and one another, and we hope to see you in future. Thank you.
Namaste.